Man, I'm really excited to finally have some mice that feel fresh, some new designs finally coming across my desk, instead of just the mini version or the wireless version of some classic favorites. I've been teasing this mouse for the past couple videos, and today we're finally looking at the Makalu 67. This may be a mouse that flew under your radar. It's from the guys over at Mountain, the same company that's doing the Everest keyboard. This thing got my attention for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's first to market with an all-new sensor technology, and number two, it wound up spending a lot more time on my desk than I had originally anticipated. I really took my time with this, as I like to do whenever something makes too positive of a first impression or too negative of a first impression. So I've spent a lot of time with this. We're gonna talk about what it is that makes this mouse so special and whether or not it's gonna be a good fit for you. You ready? Let's go! Yo, I'm Brian P. You're watching BadSeed Tech, and today we're looking at the Makalu 67 gaming mouse from Mountain. For transparency, Mountain did send this unit out to me for review, but as you should know by now, it doesn't affect my review in any way. Retailing for $59.99, the Makalu 67 is a lightweight mouse without hexagons, and I believe is the first to market in the world with the newest sensor from PixArt, the PAW3370. I rarely talk about packaging, but I want to jump in and point this out here before we get too into this, because Mountain's CEO is really passionate about being as environmentally conscious as possible, and that's big for me. While they're unable to go carbon neutral at their level, think like Logitech level to be able to do that. The plastic used in the packaging here, as well as the foam used inside, is recyclable. The idea is that this is a nice enough box that you'd want to keep it around to hold accessories or whatnot, so you don't have the urge to discard it. The big headline here, though, is that they participate with Plastic Bank. There's a lot to dig into with that, but all you really need to know is that by supporting Mountain and in turn Plastic Bank, you're helping to remove over 25,000 kilos of plastic trash out of our environment every year, particularly our oceans. So the Makalu 67 is a pretty big guy. It measures almost 127 millimeters long, 60 millimeters at the front and the grip, and about 70 millimeters across the rear. Comes in about 43 millimeters high. It also weighs a mere 67 grams, like 66 actually on my scale, and they accomplished this with this new ribbed design. I can't, it's too easy. It's a unique look finally for a lightweight mouse, and it offers a really sturdy feeling build, like really surprisingly well built in hand. It's definitely a right-hand ergo, medium to large frame. Though larger, it is similar to the MPO1 we looked at recently, as the front of the mouse sort of feels like a symmetrical mouse. There is a fall off from left to right, but it's not really too pronounced or exaggerated. The highest point sits roughly right in the middle of the mouse, and the rear is very wide, giving it like an almost pear shape if you look at it from the underside. Both sides flare in midway down the body from top to bottom and then back out as you near the bottom of the plate. This is more prominent on the thumb side. With a hand measurement of 20.5 by 10.5 centimeters, I hybrid palm claw grip this mouse, as it offers plenty of support under my first two knuckles, which is how I naturally grip my mouse. I kind of bounce back and forth between that and full fingertip, depending on how big the mouse is. There's a subtle indentation on the outside edge at the front of the mouse for your ring finger as well. The triggers here are 50mm Omrons, very minimal pre and post travel on my copy. Side play is virtually non-existent during gaming. Overall, the triggers feel light, crispy, good rebound, and the Omron sound is very obvious. The scroll here is an Alps encoder, 24 steps, pretty tactile. Feels almost like a Zowie. Doesn't sound like one though. It's also very low in the frame. It's easy to depress. Rubberized, feels very solid, no wobble, no rattle. Side buttons are big, fat ass side buttons, and I love these. I really like that they protrude so far from the body because you can actuate these simply by rocking your thumb upwards. In game, they feel totally fine. Minimal pre and post travel, no play or wiggle. When you put it under a reviewer microscope though, you definitely get some play on these buttons. That was some feedback I provided them early on, and it's my understanding that they've gone in and re-engineered that whole side frame there that holds those side buttons in place. I can't speak to how good of a job they did with that, as I've not actually had the updated version in hand yet. You also have a recessed DPI button up top with the indicator position there as well that lights as 4 different dots. Coating is matte where it counts, and small glossy accents that are more visual than anything. The coating and texture feel very close to the Viper Ultimate. That's not the only thing they have in common either, as they have similar length, and I hold them both in a very similar way. The key difference being that the Makalu definitely feels taller in hand and is a touch wider as well, but it was a comfortable initial transition for me. We do have RGB here in this ring around the top. On my copy, it's pretty obvious where the 8 LEDs are located, but it's my understanding they've revised this as well to have better diffusion up here. There are some aspects of this you can control via the hardware, but there is software here as well. They call it Basecamp. It's a mountain theme. Get it? This software is almost constantly being updated, and it is refreshing to not see the same white label OEM mouse control software, but I've had more than a couple bugs with this in terms of starting it and having it be accessible. The latest update improved this to some extent, but still has not ironed all the bugs out. Here you'll find all the control for your lighting, your keybinds, your macros, all the necessary adjustments, polling rate from 125 to 1000, button response time, which defaults to 2 milliseconds, lift-off distance adjustment from low to high, and 5 DPI levels by default. You can delete the unused levels. You can enter whatever value you like in here, but I think it rounds to the nearest 50. Notably missing is the ability to adjust the DPI of the X and Y axis independently. At least I can't find it, but I am happy to report that you can save 5 different profiles on this mouse, so you can pick this up and take it with you wherever you go, meaning the software is not a necessity. Cable is a flexible paracord style that they call the Mountain Lifeline. It's a really smooth, tight weave. The stress relief is angled up here as well, though not nearly as crazy as we saw on the MPO1 recently. It's like 5 degrees here. I really do like this cable here, but it's a little heavier than some of the other stock paracords out there, so I do recommend using a bungee, especially if you're somebody that puts their mouse cable over the back of their desk and their PC's down on the floor, as it will kind of pull that excess cable down. It's not like it's going to pull your mouse, but it's just kind of annoying, so a bungee is definitely recommended. Underside of the mouse is very simple with 2 curved glides front and back, nice thick PTFE and good glide here. And good guys that they are, they do include an extra set of glides in the box, which is always awesome to see at a $59.99 price point. The sensor here is a new one. It's the PixArt PAW3370. It's got a max DPI of 19,000, liftoff distance of between 1 and 2 millimeters, and claims to have a 50% lower error rate than the PMW3389. I can't find any performance data versus the 3360, and I'm obviously a human being, so the idea that I could detect the error rate of a sensor, it's not realistic. All I can say about it is that the mouse feels very good, very natural, whether I'm in-game or running Kovacs drills. After a few hours of use, my biggest takeaway is that if you plan to use this mouse in a palm grip, it's dynamite. One of the more unique things about the shape is that there really is no flare, no discernible difference between the total front end and the area where you grip the mouse, with the front and grip being clearly more narrow than the rear. When I get in rhythm in game and hit flow, I have a tendency to want to use my personal standard grip on this, which kind of shifts back and forth between fingertip and claw. That thick backside and the overall height of this thing doesn't really leave a lot of room in my palm for the body to move around, so I find myself wrist aiming with this a lot, which I do start to feel after a while. This one's been broken a couple times. If I make myself use it strictly as a palm grip mouse and arm aim, it's awesome. So just be aware of your hand size and how you grip mice. The advantage to something like this versus the Death Adder V2 Pro, or any Death Adder for that matter, is that it's a much safer, more versatile shape on the front of the mouse. So overall, I came away feeling very positive about this mouse. I had to really spend some time with it because I really enjoyed it right out of the box. It almost became my new main, despite the fact that it's a wired mouse. The only negative thing I have to say about this mouse is that the software is still buggy if you intend to use it, but they're cranking out updates all the time. And those 50 mil Omrons, with their reputation for double clicking, that might be a nitpick thing I pointed out if I really wanted to find something negative to say here. Don't even bother asking me yet which mouse between the Viper Ultimate, the XM1, this, the Zegan MPO1, the Ducky Feather. I honestly just can't answer that yet. As soon as I'm done with the dedicated review of the Ducky Feather, I think I'm going to start working on my personal top 5 list for year end, based purely off how they perform for me in Kovacs, taking every other variable out of the equation and just getting really down to how well I perform. We're just at a time right now where there are a lot of mice to choose from. So the best thing you can do is find something that's going to feel natural to you, feel comfortable, that you're going to be able to use for a long period of time without any issue. If you have that medium to large hand, what I can tell you for sure is that the Makalu 67 is a palm gripper's dream mouse. It doesn't sacrifice any build quality for its lightweight and just comes across as being really well thought out and well executed. If anything, it makes me really excited to get my hands on the Everest keyboard. Mountain is going to be a company you want to definitely keep an eye on. As always, links down in the description for everything we talked about today. Any questions, hit me in the comments or drop by the Discord. And that's it for this time. I'm Brian P. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button, and until next time, stay up.